Good evening, and I'd like to call our Tuesday, January 7th, 2020 Piqua City Commission meeting to order. Let us stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can we have our roll call, please?
Mayor Hines.
Here.
Commissioner Lee.
Here.
Commissioner Grissom.
Here.
Commissioner Pearson.
Here.
Commissioner Fote.
Here.
Okay. The first thing on our docket is a proclamation honoring William H. Pitzenbarger. I have had the honor since, I think, spring, working with a committee of citizens and leaders here in our community. We have been working hard to have a premiere of the movie. Actually, it's in a few weeks. And the committee, our Superintendent Dwayne Thompson, the President of the Chamber of Commerce, Kathy Sherman, Mike Ulrey with Miami Valley Today, and Ruth Kuhn as well have been part of that committee. So I'd like to invite you to join me up front for a proclamation. We have our movie poster and our local movie poster as well. There's a few things I want to read about William Pitzenbarger before I honor and give the proclamation. A little history on William H. Pitzenbarger. He was born obviously here in Piqua. He was the only child of Irene and Frank Pitzenbarger. He graduated from Piqua Central High School in 1962 and enlisted in the Air Force after his graduation. He was a pararescueman, and he served in Vietnam. And on April 11th, 1966, he descended into the dense jungle in Vietnam to aid his fellow warriors, and he refused to leave them. That day, he saved the lives of 9 soldiers before he was fatally wounded and died on the battlefield. The movie, The Last Full Measure, tells the story of a high-level conspiracy behind the decades-long denial of the Medal of Honor for Pitzenbarger. In 2000, Frank Pitzenbarger was presented the prestigious Congressional Medal of Honor for his son, William H. Pitzenbarger, one of our country's greatest heroes. So this committee has been working on bringing this premiere here to our community. It is the Piqua premiere. It is the night after the premiere in California and Hollywood. And we are excited because we have some of the people from the movie. We have the producer and the writer of the movie. And so there's a variety of people coming here for this. The premiere will feature a reception to be held in Miami Valley Center Mall beginning at 5:30. This special premiere here in Piqua will be Thursday, January 23rd, 2020. The film will then be screened at 7:30 and 8:30 at our local movie theater. And we are, because of the generous donations of Hartzell Propeller, we will be premiering that to local veterans. So there'll be more information on how the veterans can get the limited number of tickets that will be available at no charge. There will be a third screening that evening that will be open to the public with tickets that will be available at Cinemark box office. This is a wonderful way to honor a very, very important hero here in the city of Piqua. And we are honored to have him part of our community and the history that he not only for us, but for our entire country as well. So here's our proclamation. Whereas Airman First Class William H. Pitzenbarger distinguished himself by extreme valor on April 11, 1966, near Con Mai, Republic of Vietnam, while assigned as a pararescue crew member. And whereas Airman Pitzenbarger was aboard a rescue helicopter, responding to a call for evacuation of casualties, incurred in an ongoing firefight between elements of the United States Army 1st Infantry Division and a sizable enemy force approximately 35 miles east of Saigon. And whereas with complete disregard for personal safety, Airman Pitzenbarger volunteered to ride a hoist more than 100 feet through the jungle to the ground. And whereas once upon the ground, Airman Pitzenbarger organized and coordinated rescue efforts, cared for the wounded, prepared casualties for evacuation, and ensured that the recovery operation continued in a smooth and orderly fashion. And whereas as American forces came under heavy assault, the evacuation was called off, and Airman Pitzenbarger took up arms with the besieged infantrymen. And whereas as the battle wore on, Airman Pitzenbarger repeatedly exposed himself to enemy fire to care for the wounded, pulled them out of the line of fire, and returned fire whenever he could, during which time he was wounded 3 times. And whereas in the vicious fighting that followed, the American forces suffered 80% casualties as their perimeter was breached, and Airman Pitzenbarger was fatally wounded. And whereas Airman First Class William Hart Pitzenbarger was posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor on December 8, 2000, and whereas on the week of January 20th through 24th, 2020, Airman Pitzenbarger will be honored by his hometown with the premiere of the movie Last Full Measure. It's showcased here at our Piqua Cinemarks Theater, which honors and pays tribute to Piqua Airmen with William H. Pitzenbarger. Now therefore I, Catherine Behinds, the mayor of the city of Piqua, Ohio, do hereby then proclaim the week of January 20th through 24th, 2020 as William H. Pitzenbarger Week in the city of Piqua, and I urge all citizens to honor William H. Pitzenbarger for giving his life for his country and living his life by the pararescue oath. It is my duty as a pararescueman to save a life and to aid the injured. I will perform my assigned duties quickly and efficiently, placing these duties before my personal desires and comforts. These things I do that others may live. So, wonderful, wonderful celebration for our community and honoring a very, very important hero that came from our hometown.
So one thing I wanted to add, and Casey is aware of, but we didn't put in the proclamation, was that on January the 23rd, one of the soldiers that William Pitzenbarger saved will be here. So it'll be so interesting to hear him talk.
Yes, and the time at the reception before the actual movie, we'll have a variety of people speaking and just talking and sharing about the history and what happened that day. So, yeah, thank you. Okay, the next thing on our agenda are the oath of office for the First Ward Commissioner, Thomas Fote, the Second Ward Commissioner, Cynthia Pearson, and the Fifth Ward Commissioner, Catherine Behind. So the 3 of us will join Elizabeth Gutman at the podium then.
Gary asked me to swear you in. I said, I'm not the judge anymore. No robe, no nothing exciting. But he said, still, you're a former employee. So as a citizen of Piqua, as a former employee of the city of Piqua, a proud employee, and as a former elected official, before I swear you in, let me thank you each for being brave enough to put your name on the ballot, to agree to serve our community, and to wish you best of luck in these roles, a very important and sometimes thankless role of being a commissioner. So now, there's this little tricky on the first line because I'm going to say state your name, so state your name, and then I'm going to say state your ward, so that's a little different too. Okay, are we ready? I state your name.
I, Catherine Behind,
Commissioner from state your ward.
Ward 5
of the city of Piqua,
the city of Piqua,
Ohio,
Ohio,
Miami County,
Miami County,
solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will obey the Constitution
that I will obey the Constitution
and laws of the United States
and laws of the United States
and of the state of Ohio,
and of the state of Ohio,
that I will in all respects
that I will in all respects
observe the provisions
observe the provisions
of the Charter
of the Charter
and ordinances
and ordinances
of the city of Piqua,
of the city of Piqua,
and faithfully discharge
and faithfully discharge
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of Commissioner.
of Commissioner.
Well done.
At this time, I would like to nominate Catherine Hines as our next mayor of the city of Piqua.
We have a nomination. Do we have a second? Okay.
I'd like to
And
nominate Chris Lee for mayor of Piqua.
do we have a second?
A second.
Okay, all right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the motion passes, and I will pass the gavel on to Chris Lee. Before I do that, I do have a few things that I would like to say, because I have thoroughly enjoyed these past 4 years serving as mayor of your community. I have enjoyed working alongside of the commission to make decisions to better our city and to help move our city forward. And I continue to be able to do that as a commissioner of the 5th Ward. I want to share with you, and the reason why I'm doing this is because, it's important to have public record of everything that happens in our city. And so I just want to share with you a little bit about what has happened over the past 4 years here in our city. Some of the accomplishments that we have had together here in our city, as a reminder of the Sea of Blue Ribbons campaign that we had to support our police department, the construction of our water treatment plant, the upgrade of our wastewater treatment plant, the Staunton and Manier solar projects, the Kettering Health Network Medical Center, the East Ash Street reconstruction in North County Road 25A, the development of our first roundabout, the Lock 9 Park, new restaurants and businesses that are opening here in our downtown, numerous business expansions happening throughout our city. Just a few things that I have enjoyed spearheading as your mayor. Our Piqua City music video that we had a few years ago that really promoted us, not only to our own community, the wider Miami Valley, but our entire country as well. The Eye on Piqua TV show is a way to get information out to our citizens. Read with the Mayor. I have enjoyed reading with our children every summer here in the city. Walks with the Mayor is a way to get out into the community and meet our citizens in the different wards. Involvement in the Piqua City schools, engaging some of our youngest citizens. Some of my favorite things have been leading tours here at the city building for 3rd graders, speaking to 1st graders about our city, working with the 6th grade run club at Piqua Central, and speaking to numerous organizations throughout our city. Working with others on the recent unity gathering that involved leaders from 12 of our places of worship here in our community. Providing proclamations as requested in attending events to deliver them. Presiding over numerous weddings. Meeting with developers who are planning new projects here in Piqua. Lobbying federal and state elected representatives to help our city, and actively promoting our city not only to our citizens, but to the wider Miami Valley and the state of Ohio as well. While I have served as your mayor these past 4 years, the city of Piqua has received many awards. Here are just a few. Piqua Placemaking Initiative, Bike Friendly Community, Tree City USA, Playful City USA, the Economic Development Marketing Small Community for the Ohio Economic Development Association 2017 Annual Excellence Awards, the RP3 or Reliable Public Power Distinction Diamond Level Certification, the State Auditor Award of Distinction for Financial Reporting, the GFOA Excellence in Financial Reporting. I have enjoyed great relationships with the Tri-City mayors and managers in our monthly breakfast meetings. I have enjoyed my monthly meetings with our school superintendent, the school board president, and our city manager, and my involvement with the Dayton Area Mayors and Managers Organization. There is so much good happening here in our community, and I do this only to remind us of where we've been over the past 4 years. And I'm so excited that as we move forward, we will continue to make strides, and that list will continue to get longer and longer and longer. So I'm really, really excited about that. I do want to say a huge thank you to our city manager, Gary Huff. Gary Huff has helped to give the vision for our city. He and Chris Schmeezing have helped to move our city forward and have worked tirelessly out many hours to really promote and really to help move our city forward. So I do want to commend Gary. It has been wonderful working with you as a city manager, and I thank you for your tireless hours as you have worked hard to do the best you can for our community. Also, we have a fabulous staff here in our city, and I have really enjoyed working with them as mayor on different projects, and obviously we'll continue to do that as commissioner as well. But we are very, very fortunate as a city to have the staff, the expertise that we have here in our city staff, and the dedication that we have of our city staff. And I applaud everybody, especially those that are here tonight, and for the many ways that you help to move our city forward. I'm excited. I'm excited because Chris Lee is the first African-American mayor of our city. I'm excited about that.
Big shoes to fill, and please, let's all give Casey a round of applause because she has done a lot for the city and a lot more. Thank you for all your tireless work and effort and great ethic, and we appreciate everything you've done.
Well, thank you. It is my honor to now pass the gavel over to you, and we will
Do we have to
switch
switch
seats. Not only is he the first African-American mayor, he is also a descendant, a Randolph descendant. So I think in the history of this community, this is a very, very huge day. So, Chris.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
You're very welcome. I got to move all my stuff, sorry.
Me too.
The gavel's here.
Oh, okay. So what's next, Moss?
You need to take nominations for vice mayor.
That's all right.
You need to take nominations for vice mayor.
Oh,
I'd like to nominate Chris Grissom for vice mayor.
I'll second that.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Guess you're vice mayor, sir. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Give my hand. I guess the next thing is the oath of office?
No.
No?
Well, yes.
For
So
mayor.
you'll need to go for mayor, yes.
Yes.
I go with them?
Yeah. Oh, no, well, here, you,
We'll do this.
yeah.
Okay.
that's okay.
Yeah, Larry, come up here with me.
That'd be cool.
Come up here. My frat, come up here with me. He is a very big historian, the Randolph slaves, and I want him to witness this moment with me.
Friend of mine too, a good citizen of the city of Piqua. Who would have ever thought that back in the 90s when I was the prosecutor and you were an officer who was often in trouble?
Get yelled
Swear
at
you in there.
instead of swearing at me.
I, Christopher Lee,
I, Christine Lee,
Commissioner from the,
Commissioner from the
Third?
Third Ward.
Third ward?
that's important that you know.
I know that, I'm nervous.
Commissioner from the Third Ward
Commissioner from the Third Ward
of the city of Piqua,
of the city of Piqua,
Ohio,
Ohio,
Miami County,
Miami County,
solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will obey the Constitution
that I will obey the Constitution
and laws of the United States
and laws of the United States
of the state of Ohio,
and of the state of Ohio,
that I will in all respects
that I will in all respects
observe the provisions
observe the provisions
of the Charter
of the Charter
and ordinances
and ordinances
of the city of Piqua,
of the city of Piqua,
and faithfully discharge
and faithfully discharge
the duties of the office.
the duties of the office of mayor. Thank you.
Plates here,
Oh, yeah.
in case you have to look at the board.
Yeah, I need to look at it. Oh, man.
I made you nervous.
Me too. You do.
You, I don't know so well, so I can't cast aspersions upon you. Congratulations. Okay, and what's your name? I, Chris Grissom,
I, Chris Grissom,
from the fourth ward
from the fourth ward
of the city of Piqua,
of the city of Piqua,
Ohio,
Ohio,
Miami County,
Miami County,
solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will obey the Constitution
that I will obey the Constitution
and laws of the United States
and the laws of the United States
and of the state of Ohio,
and of the state of Ohio,
that I will in all respects
and I in all respects
observe the provisions
observe the provisions
of the charter
of the charter
and ordinances
and ordinances
of Piqua,
of the city of Piqua,
and faithfully discharge
and faithfully discharge
the duties
the duties
of the office of vice mayor.
of the office of vice mayor.
Well done. Your first official act.
All right. I've seen her do this a million times, but sitting here for the first time, it's a big honor. And again, Casey, thank you for your service. Appreciate everything you've done. And I know you'll be a big help to me and to the rest of the commission and to the city in the future. Forgive my voice. I've recovering from a cold, so I'm going to work on that. Taking some medicine, so bear with me. And I plan on doing my best, working as hard as I can, and volunteering and helping as much as I can the city. We live in a great city, guys. I was born and raised here. The only time I left was to go to college, and I ran back home. I lived in Dayton for 5 years, and I ran back to Piqua because it's a great place to live, and there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of good people here. And our job is to help the people that live here and to listen. So don't be afraid to contact us. Let us know what it is that you need because we're here for you. And we do have great staff here. Gary does a great job, and we appreciate everything that he does. So next on our agenda, though, is the Resident Pride Awards, the Holiday Light display. And we just read through these.
Read the first one. I think we might have some visitors here.
Oh, we've got some visitors. Oh, great. Anyone from the Hartzell properties in One Propeller Away?
Yeah, I think that J.J. Frigge and Dave Trissel are here. If
Look
you
at
would-
that.
you
That
guys-
looks great.
You can present this to them. And
Oh, great. Do we go down and? Come down. All right. We read the whole thing? Or just present?
just present, yeah, you can just present it, so.
All right, hey.
Yeah.
That looks great. We appreciate it. And so congratulations, your business was selected for the Winter Residence Pride. Give that to you.
Read the next one. Read the next one.
Okay. William and Joetta Didier, 208 Ford Drive, are you present?
Here they are.
All right, come forward.
Get the right one. There you go.
All right. Thank you. Looks very nice. Good job. Appreciate you. Doesn't get any better now. It does.
Looks amazing.
Daniel and Vickie Pierre, 2104 Fawn Court.
Up here.
Great picture.
Pretty.
I know them. Good people, good family. Next one is the Smith family, 1244 Broadway.
That's no surprise.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
I can't say how many times I drove by there with the kids so that they could see it. I loved it. It's great.
People come out of
And
town.
Randall and Jennifer Breaden, 620 Caldwell Street.
Oh, yeah.
Present. That's a nice layout as well.
Oh, that's really
Next is our consent agenda.
We have 8 items on the agenda tonight. Approval of the minutes of the December 17, 2019 regular city commission meeting. A resolution appointing Thomas Fote to the Piqua Energy Board for a 2-year term expiring December 31st, 2021. A resolution appointing Chris Grissom to the Piqua Energy Board for a 2-year term expiring December 31, 2021. A resolution appointing Cindy Pearson to the Grow Piqua Now Board for a 3-year term expiring December 31st, 2022. A resolution appointing Chris Lee to the Miami County Council for a 2-year term expiring December 31st, 2021. A resolution appointing Catherine Hines to the Miami Valley Regional Planning Commission for a 1-year term expiring March 1st, 2021. A resolution reappointing Chris Smeezing as an alternate member to the Miami Valley Regional Planning Commission for a 1-year term expiring March 1st, 2021. And a resolution appointing Cindy Pearson to the governing board of the Piqua Improvement Corporation.
I make a motion, we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Been a motion and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right.
None opposed.
Oh, pardon me?
Nobody opposed.
Nobody opposed? None opposed? Okay. All right. Next, we move to new business. First, the new business is ordinance number 1-20. It's the first reading.
An ordinance declaring the improvement of certain real property located in the city of Piqua, Ohio, to be a public purpose, declaring such property to be exempt from real property taxation, designated public infrastructure improvement to be made that will benefit such property, requiring annual service payments in lieu of taxes, authorizing the execution of a tax increment financing agreement, and establishing a municipal public improvement tax increment equivalent fund.
Mr. Smeezing will provide the staff report.
Good evening, and thank you. I'm very excited to have this item before the commission this evening as we discuss the tax increment financing tool that we're proposing here. I think it's important to bear in mind this is one of the economic development tools that communities often use to be able to further economic development activity in their communities. This particular ordinance pertains to a project that is being undertaken by IDC Spring, which is one of our businesses located here in Piqua at the corner of Country Club Road and Scarborough Drive. And they are currently constructing a $2.3 million building improvement, which will expand their building both to the front and to the rear of their property. This will enhance their operations or ability to operate at this location and also provide local economic benefits. The purpose of the project is to support the building improvements. The city of Piqua, as a partner of the project, will finance and construct street improvements that will extend Scarborough Drive the length of the subject property frontage, which is some 300 feet to the west. And in doing so, we will accommodate the building improvement project and provide for a new access to the improvement at the rear of the building, which will require that their driveway be shifted further to the west. But as importantly, the extension of the roadway will open up some additional acreage that is available and being marketed for development purposes so that we can be active when we receive inquiries from site selectors who are looking for opportunities to locate businesses in our community. So by supporting it, we would be paying for the street improvements in part through a State of Ohio Jobs and Commerce grant that I'm pleased to share with you that we were able to secure in support of this project, and that's the next item we'll be discussing. And also, we're proposing that we support the project with this tax increment financing structure that we're discussing now. The funding sources together will reimburse the local fund sources that will be utilized to finance the construction of the street improvements. And this will allow us to be able to extend the roadway 300 feet in a timely manner so that the roadway improvements are complete more or less around the same time the private property improvements are being completed at IDC Spring. So Q2, more or less, of 2020, we should have a new road extended in this area. The Jobs and Commerce grant provides $75,000 in support of this and does so in recognition of the job creation and the future development opportunity that the project represents. Likewise, the TIF is a tool commonly used by local governments to fund public infrastructure improvements such as this to support economic development activity, as mentioned previously. It's important to realize that a TIF does not increase or decrease property tax obligations of the property owner or change anything about the way the tax payments are collected. Rather, it simply redirects the increase in tax dollars being collected due to the increase in the valuation of the property that occurs as a result of the improvements that the property owner is otherwise making anyhow. So we are able to leverage their investment to provide this public infrastructure improvement in support of what they're doing is really the bottom line. Also worth noting is ID Spring is not seeking any other form of financial assistance or tax abatements from the city of Piqua for the project that they currently have under construction. You can see in your packet, we've outlined for you where the funding sources have been budgeted. As we go forward, we expect the project will total about $280,000 in expenses. We've identified the funding sources to cover that amount, and then subsequently the $75,000 in reimbursement from Jobs and Commerce, along with the forecasted revenue collection from the tax increment financing over a period of 10 years at 75% are the terms of the TIF, will pay the city back and make us whole for the amount we've invested. Long story short, approving the ordinance will allow for the construction of the street improvements at no cost to the city after we're able to collect that revenue stream over a period of 10 years. We are asking for the commission's support of this ordinance so that we may be supportive of our local industry and the improvements they're making at their site. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the commission? Any questions from the citizens? This will stand as a first reading then. All right, so next on the agenda is resolution number R-8-20.
A resolution requesting authorization to enter into Jobs and Commerce Economic Development Agreement between the State of Ohio Department of Transportation and City of Piqua for the extension of Scarborough Drive.
Mr. Smeezing.
So the staff report is essentially the same as what I just described. This particular item pertains to the grant that we'll be receiving from Jobs and Commerce Division of ODOT. Again, it's by way of the working relationships that we maintain with these different agencies, that we stay aware of the funding sources that they have available, the eligibility and criteria that is applicable, and so that we can understand when we can tap into these dollars. And it's also by way of having those conversations with them in a timely manner so that they are aware of these projects and they can present these type of requests to their board for approval. Fortunately for us, they saw fit to grant $75,000 towards this project, and we're very grateful for that.
Awesome. Any questions from the commission? Any questions from the citizens? Is that a first reading as well?
No, call for a vote.
All right. Was a roll call vote?
I make a motion for resolution number R-8-20.
I second.
Motioned and seconded. All those in approval?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed, motion passed. Next on the agenda is resolution number R-9-20.
A resolution authorizing the city purchasing analyst to advertise for bids to make certain purchases during the 2020 year.
Ms. Holtzapfel.
Thank you. The city is required to advertise in a newspaper of local circulation for bids of any capital or operational supplies and purchases over $25,000. We ask for commission approval for the purchasing analyst to be authorized to advertise for those items that are anticipated to be in the 2020 budget. Passage tonight will allow for departments and projects to proceed as needed throughout 2020.
Any questions from the commission? Any questions from the citizens? I'll ask for a motion. Yep.
I move that we adopt resolution number R-920.
Second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Motion passes. Next on the agenda is resolution number R-10-20.
A resolution requesting final legislation to enter into an agreement with the Ohio Department of Transportation for the resurfacing of Covington Avenue, U.S. Route 36, between R.M. Davis Parkway and Sunset Drive.
Ms. Havener will provide the staff report.
Thank you. This legislation is required if we would like for ODOT to pursue the bidding of the resurfacing of US 36 from R.M. Davis Parkway to Sunset Drive. This is a final legislation. In 2015, we entered into a preliminary legislation with ODOT. However, this final is needed for them to be able to open the bids, which are due in February 27th, with anticipated construction as early as March of 2020.
All right. Any comments from the commission? Any comments from citizens?
Just to touch on this subject real fast, we actually had a meeting last night and somebody brought up, I know we discussed this at the Government Academy, but I can't remember what exactly was said. But somebody had a question on how it's decided which roads are paved and which roads are not at the time being, and I know you explained that to us. Could you explain that to us for the record
Well,
one time?
each year, we analyze all the roads and determine which ones are most needed for paving and so forth. So,
What's the standard for that?
well, it depends on the condition of the roadways, and our staff go out and go through those and make sure to determine, what's most needed. Sometimes it may not look as bad as some of the others, but its base may be gone, and we may be losing the entire road. So they have some technical expertise to be able to do that.
So it's not really like a schedule, it's just more of a judgment call,
Well, we
basically.
do it based on, we do inspections each year, especially after the snows and so forth, so we'll know what's left. Sometimes the road conditions change.
Okay.
Depending over the winter. Some will deteriorate more than others.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Any other comments from the citizens? All right. I'll ask for a motion.
I'll ask for a motion to approve resolution R-10-20.
Second.
I'll second.
Motion and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. The last resolution is resolution number R-11-20.
A resolution authorizing the city manager to continue to contract with Frank J. Patrizio as law director and McCulloch, Felger, Fight, and Gutman, co-LPA, as legal counsel for the city of Piqua.
This continues the contract through April 2021 to be able to continue to contract with McCulloch, Felger, Fight, and Gutman to provide both contractual legal services and prosecutorial services for the city. I would make note that we do utilize them in a contractual part-time basis, and it saves us anywhere between $50,000 to $70,000 per year. So,
Any comments from the commission?
I'll make a couple comments.
Go right
I've
ahead.
enjoyed doing this for the past year. I've certainly enjoyed working with all the staff and Gary and the mayors and the commission. I work for the commission and the city manager. I also enjoyed prosecuting. I think that the police chief has an aggressive approach towards drug enforcement, and that's one of the biggest problems in our city as far as what I see. Thefts that are caused in the city are created by a lot of drug issues. I've seen a more aggressive approach with that recently, and I really appreciate what they're doing. Also, I wanted to, there's a misstatement out there that for somehow going to a statutory city would save money in the law director field. I looked at Troy's law director budget for this year, or for last year, it was $382,475, which is significantly more than what we are paid. And that is a statutory city.
And we are saving money now, having you in that position semi-part-time, if you will, versus having somebody on staff, correct, Gary?
That is correct. We, anywhere from $70,000 a year. This new contract will be for 16 months, and that's about $50,000 for the 16 months.
Yeah.
Any comments from citizens?
My name is Bill Jock. I live at 607 North Sunset Drive, and Mayor Lee, I'd like to congratulate you.
Thank you, sir.
And I would like to just say quickly that Commissioner Pearson's brother-in-law, Tom Hudson, was mayor, and he really stumbled for a long time with parliamentary procedure. So you're welcome to stumble for as long as you want.
I get it.
And you certainly have somebody next to you that should be able to help you with that. But I want to, the reason I'm up here is because I'm opposed to this contract, and I know Mr. Patrizio is a friend of yours, and I'm opposed on a couple reasons. The first, and it's not because he's not competent or their law firm isn't competent. They certainly are, and they're all very good attorneys, and that's not really the issue. But the issue is it's just not normal. And I've talked to a lot of our past law directors, and they said normally law directors you get from outside of your city. And the reason you get them from outside of your city is because you have people like me who spend a lifetime dealing with attorneys and things of that sort. And I've always been on the other side with him. I don't use his law firm, I use other law firms, and it's a conflict. Now, I don't think it's normal, and I think there's better alternatives for that. And I would like to address this issue of statutory versus charter. And there certainly isn't any indication that one would cause something to be less than the other, but Troy's law director makes $58,000 a year. We've already paid Mr. Patrizio and his law firm $100,000 this year. So there's a $40,000 difference in there, and I don't know where he came up with this $380,000.
From their budget. You can go online and look at their budget. It said they paid, the city of Troy paid their law department.
So for outside counsel, you're saying?
No, they paid the law department $382,000 last year.
They paid whose law department?
They're Troy, the firm of, that's what they paid.
So
Go
that law
online
director,
and look,
okay,
Bill.
so, okay, just maybe I'll sit down, but let me get this clear.
They
He's
probably-
elected by the citizens of Troy. So you're saying once he's elected, he comes to office and he also is an elected representative at the same time he's representing a law firm?
Yes.
That can't be.
The
What law
law
firms are you
director in
with?
the city of Troy, the city of Troy paid their law department $382,475 last year.
Okay, well, I'll continue to do my research then.
Their budget's online.
Okay, I'll find it. I still want to register my objection, not that you're not competent, but it's,
I appreciate
Not
it.
because he's not.
there's a lot of other business people in town just like me. And if you talk to the other business people who have the same type of relationships that I do, you'll find out a lot of them aren't real happy with this relationship either. And I think we would be better going outside of the city and bringing in a law firm that really doesn't have any roots here in the city, so, okay, thank you.
Appreciate your time. Thank you. If there's no more comments,
Hi, Natalie Young, 1234 Marwood Drive. I don't have a comment on this one way or the other, but I was just curious as to whether that increased amount in Troy, is that perhaps because their law director has more things to do?
That's the deal with the city of Troy work. He also gets paid compensation for Miami County work.
Oh, okay.
Their firm also.
So
gets
it's not
paid
just
for-
city-specific
This is not-
necessarily?
That's the city of Troy. That's not including what they get from Miami County.
Okay, and I'm not against the
No,
amounts or
and
anything
they-
like that. I
They
was
do
just,
a lot of work for the county, and they do a lot of work for the city of Troy, and I'm not saying their fee's unjustified at all.
no, I just was wondering if it was more along the lines of like if they're helping draft things as far as they've got a lot more of economic development and things like that, if they're spending a lot more time doing the work, then they would deserve to be compensated more. So my point is more
Bill
along
on
the
an
lines.
hourly rate, so the work that I bill is based on an hourly. So
Yeah.
what you get from me is what I bill hourly, and theirs is more of a contractual, they pay a certain amount per year, and whatever they get, they get. My contract is based on $150 an hour. I typically do not bill enough to cover what they have allocated this
Yeah.
contract for.
No, I understand that. I'm not really for or against the charter versus the statutory government yet. I just don't know if that's necessarily the defining factor. If the attorney in Troy has more work to do than the attorney in Piqua, then it would make sense that their billing rates are higher. So that was really what I was wondering.
And that may be very well why they're paid more. I mean, I don't know exactly everything they do.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
I just have a
Name,
Oh, sorry.
address.
So used to doing this.
I know it, I know.
J. Roman, 406 West High.
Thank you, sir.
Kind of like a misinformation thing that's out there. You kind of touched on that, so I'd like to kind of touch on that as well. And I don't know if you can even address this or not. I don't know the legalities behind it. But a rumor that goes around on my page, Watch Piqua, is that your firm represents the Liettes in some way, shape, or form. Is that true?
I do not represent, nor do our firm represent the league.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
Good question. Thank you.
Matter of fact, I prosecuted him.
Yeah. You'd be wrong.
It's a rumor, just wanted to kill it.
You killed it. I appreciate that. Anybody else from the audience? All right. Need a motion?
I make a motion, we approve resolution number R-11-20.
I'll second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None opposed. All right. At this point in time in our meeting, you can knock me around if I get this wrong, is for public comment. This is an opportunity for citizens to address the city commission regarding agenda items, issues, or to provide information. Comments are requested to be limited to 5 minutes, and specific questions should be addressed to the city manager's office. I'll point at him if you're not talking to him, so try to talk to him. He's a good guy.
Not to say my name again. Okay. All right. Since I figured I'd just come up here first, since I was the last one up here. But first, congratulations.
Thank
to
you,
my
sir. I
man.
appreciate that. Appreciate you.
I greatly appreciate everything that you've done for me and the city of Piqua in general, and
Working on
can't
it.
be prouder. Can't be prouder of you, my man. Cannot be prouder.
We're all in this together.
Absolutely. And we've had conversations
We
about
have.
that as well. And that's something I'm going to be focusing on here within the next year in all these meetings, is trying to figure this out. And we had a conversation, me and you, earlier today, and I feel like it's important to touch on. Just because we disagree doesn't mean we have to hate each other.
No.
And I think that's a big misconception here, is if I don't disagree with you or you don't agree with me, therefore we're enemies. And that's the political landscape, let's face it, all across America right now. And I feel like we have an opportunity to dispel that in general. And one of the things that I'm going to start doing this year is like I just did with you, Frank. And even though it might sound absurd, let's face it, there's a group of people out there thinking that a casino is coming to Piqua, Ohio still.
They sure did, didn't
Okay, so even though it might sound absurd, just like the question I just asked you sounded absurd, there are rumors out there. And I mean, I gotta tell you, there's times where I shake my head too, like, oh my God, I cannot believe this. I still cannot believe people think a casino is coming to Piqua, Ohio. There's been no indication of that. You think that would have been all over every single newspaper out there, but they still believe it. So the point that I'm trying to make here is that even though it might seem like, oh, why are we doing this? There is a reason for it. And the masses do believe everything they read without even clicking the article. And misinformation is a problem. Disagreeing with each other and making it seem as if, therefore, we are enemies is a problem. And quite frankly, not hearing each other is a problem. For instance, with these increases that just happened to the utility system, there's some people out in Fletcher and the surrounding area here in town who got hit twice. We had this discussion, you and you, Chris. They got hit twice, one by the raise between the city of Piqua and they might be here tonight, I told them to come, and another by the county, all at once. So the wastewater for Piqua was what, 20%, and the actual water rates were 10%? They just got hit with another 20% for wastewater, was that right? 20% for wastewater? From the county and 10% on their base rate for the waters?
I think it was just 20% overall.
Was it 20% overall?
I'm not sure.
Even if that was the case,
Yeah, I know.
that's a huge jump. And these people are using our utilities, and they don't have any representation. And, I mean, it's just little things like that I feel like if we could focus on and continue to build the foundation, a lot of small things at once, brought together, it would really help in the next year. I mean, we've got a gigantic year ahead of us, so, and we got a lot of decisions to make. We have a lot of decisions to make. You brought up statutory, Frank, statutory or charter. I think we all have a responsibility to get that thing on the ballot, even though you might not agree with it or not. I don't even know if I agree with it or not, but I do think we have the right to choose and to at least get it on the ballot. Now, if we decide that's not the way we want to go, we just vote no. That's the beauty about democracy. Just because you have it on the ballot doesn't mean you have to vote for it. But I do think people deserve the right to choose. And I think we should at least, as a whole in a community, at least support the motion to get it on the ballot, if nothing else. And if at the end of the day we decide not to do it, then we decide not to do it, and it is what it is. But it's all about us together as a whole.
It is.
And I'll leave it at that. Thanks.
Can I make one comment?
Sure.
In the future, I'm not allowed ethically to say if I represent somebody, so if I did represent them, I wouldn't even be able to tell you.
Okay,
So,
see, I didn't know. I had no idea how that
something
works.
that-
But that's just one of
I
my.
just ask that you don't,
No, absolutely, absolutely.
I don't represent him, so I don't have a problem telling you that. But, okay.
Yeah, not a problem. I just wanted to kill that rumor, so.
Thank you very much.
Well, speaking of statutory government, I have in my hand the official petition that will switch Piqua from a charter to a statutory government. And just so you guys know that there's several different types of statute government that you can follow, and the one that we will be attempting to put on our ballot will be exactly like Troy's.
Exactly.
Exactly like Troy's. So if you want to have any questions about it, just call Troy. I call all the time. And so I think, there's a lot to learn. The other thing is,
Can I call you and ask you to explain?
yeah, I mean, I have a meeting every Monday night, and anybody who wants to learn more about it, I'd encourage you to come. I post, I made one small post that I was going to start my first meeting. I had 10 real ordinary, just nice citizens, just average, everyday people who work every day and vote, show up to my meeting, and just 10 people, just out of nowhere, just from reading one little post on Facebook. So I think you guys are going to be surprised how I live it, I breathe it every day. I make 4 or 5 posts a day, and so I'm involved with it all the time. I think you guys should be aware of the fact that should it pass, it will take effect in November 2021, a year later. And I just would quickly like to digress just a moment, and I would like to say to Commissioner Pearson that just quickly, your father-in-law was the greatest coach that Piqua ever had. Unfortunately, people like him sometimes doesn't get the recognition because he was a freshman coach. And what people don't realize is that from Bennett and from Wilder, he coached the 9th grade. And so he brought 2 people from both sides of the track together. And what he taught was a discipline. He taught kick, bite, fight, and chew. He taught you get knocked down, you get back up. He taught hundreds of kids just like me. And I'm going to tell you, I've been doing this I've been coming to the city commission meeting for 6 years. And I'll thank him for that. It's that kind of diligence, it's that kind of kick, bite, fight, and chew. Don't ever say die, you get knocked down, you get back up. And I just want to conclude this conversation with what he taught hundreds of kids in this town was integrity. And if you just bring just a fraction of that integrity to this city commission, this whole city will prosper and be great by it. And in conclusion, I would like just one more thing about him is what he taught was Piqua pride. And there's a whole generation, there's hundreds of kids just like me that cut our teeth on that, Piqua pride. I'm not mad at you PPP people. I think it's wonderful that you support your community that way, but don't you think for a second that the rest of us people that live in this community aren't damn proud of who we are. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Joe Drapp, 1366 Park Avenue. Congratulations, Chris.
Thank you, sir.
And Cindy and
you,
Tom
Joe.
and Chris I've met, and Cassie I've known for a while.
Oh, yeah.
And Gary, I shook his hand when he first came here. So I was really interested with Hartzell's Propeller. Got a lot of thumbs up tonight, and I was wondering if we had made any headway on our request to upgrade the airport or not, or that's lingering on someone's desk in Washington. Or I think that would be a big plus to the city if we could get that designation through. So last I heard, it was still kind of up in the air.
Actually, I think some of the criteria has changed, and thanks to Representative Warren Davidson's office, they've been working with the FAA. We have been invited to submit a new application to get into the NIPIUS, and we're hopeful that we're going to get in this time because of some of the criteria change, which will allow us to receive federal funds for airport improvements, which is very much needed, such as extension of the runway and maintenance of the runway and expanded services out there. So we have a new application we're about ready to submit, and so hopefully we'll have some good news as a result of that.
Is proximity to Sydney's airport still
It is
major issue?
Actually, it's gotten more strict, but they've developed some new criteria that allows you to kind of bypass that criteria for kind of exceptions. So, which is
We'll keep our fingers crossed on that.
Yeah, keep
Okay,
your
thank you.
fingers crossed. Mhm.
My name is Philip Moyer, 421 Orth Street. I'm pretty new to Piqua, but
Welcome.
from what I can tell, everyone here does a fantastic job. And
They do.
Thank you.
These
Thank
people,
you guys, everyone.
they work hard here.
So I moved to Piqua in May with my family from Florida, and before that, I was in North Carolina. I grew up in Dayton, Ohio, and always figured I would move back to start a family. But as an avid fan of all things outdoors, I was in no hurry to move back to Ohio's rather bland landscape. But what a surprise it was for me to discover Piqua's park and trail system. Our city is truly blessed to live in such a beautiful place. I love Piqua so far, and I'm always excited to show friends and family where I live. My favorite feature to show off is Linear Park, and like many others, it came as quite a shock to find that the trees along the northern route had been abruptly cut down. After some further investigation, I came to understand that those trees had to be removed, and I'm not here to complain about what has been done, but rather to express my feelings about it and hopefully to open up a line of communication. I think the trees we lost were a huge asset to the city, and again, although I understand the trees had to go, I wish there would have been some communication with the public beforehand. And I think something like a sign on site, on the parks and on the trail system, would also be practical and helpful. I hope the debris can be cleaned up in a quick manner so our parks don't look so messy. Right now there's a lot of trees that are halfway knocked down. It kind of looks like a tornado went through. I hope we can use some of the felled trees along the trail to give back to the parks. For example, I was even thinking, or I had noticed in Fountain Park, there's an old totem pole that the Boy Scouts had erected some time ago that seems to be in bad shape right now, and I thought maybe, just as a suggestion, one of the bigger trees could be used. Something like that. But lastly, and most important, I hope we can plant back in suitable locations all across the town all the trees that we have lost, and then some more. I found a newspaper article from the Piqua Daily Call dated May 15th, 1906, with this excerpt. The city should own Fountain Park, if for no other reason than to preserve the only remaining grove of native trees suitable for a park. A city or town which does not own a park today is an exception, and unfortunately in that class is our own city. How many towns would consider themselves fortunate beyond all estimation in the possession of such a grove as Fountain Park, and best of all, situated within the city limits? Those who know say that no grove in this vicinity contains a finer collection of Ohio native trees, 14 varieties in all: buckeye, oak, elm, walnut, butternut, hickory, huckberry, ash, beech, poplar, maple, red haw, and wild plum. That's the end of the quotation. I think it's clear that people in the past and the present care deeply for the trees of Piqua, and as a new father, I want to be sure to leave my child and future generations a city they can be proud of as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have you thought about volunteering and helping with the tree committee or anything?
I applied for the
Parks?
park board.
All right. Well, hey, we appreciate your enthusiasm about trees. We appreciate your knowledge. I love the quote from 1906. I would never known that. 14 different varieties. That's amazing. But we want to follow up. So make sure that you contact the street department people and parks department, or even the city manager, so that we can pass the word on, so something can be done about your concerns. We appreciate you.
And that was my wife who found that newspaper article.
Oh, she's awesome. She's awesome. Thank you. Any more? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Natalie Young, again. I wish I would have went before him so we could end on a high note, but I just have a
You
couple
got to
of
do what
questions.
you got to do. That's fine.
I just wanted to ask, do we know when the next utility rate study is going to be completed?
We plan on doing it this year.
Okay, for new rates in 2021? Okay. And then you guys had talked the last commission meeting that you were planning on meeting with the new owners of the mall, and was wondering if there's anything you could share, any
Well, we're
good
trying to
news?
meet with them.
You
but-
haven't met with them yet? That's what I was wondering, if you had been able to meet with them. And then I wanted to ask a question in regards to like the tax increment financing. Just in general, are there other sites that are eligible to have this, type of thing put in place, whether it's tax abatements or anything like that? I've always just wondered, like Patrizio Drive out there by Urban El Sol and some of those undeveloped areas. I know we've heard a lot in the past about, that they're not shovel-ready or any of that, and this, I don't know that this was talking about underground utility stuff. It was maybe more roads,
Well,
or I'm not
it's-
sure.
it's.
A little bit of both.
Chris, go ahead. You can go ahead.
So there are really four financing tools that are pretty common in economic development activity, and enterprise zones are not as desirable as they once were once the tax laws were changed in 2005, but they're still there. They're still around. There's community reinvestment areas. Virtually the entire community of Piqua is covered by a community reinvestment area. And really what that is if investment exceeds a certain threshold, you're eligible for tax abatement over a certain period of time on the improvements or the increase in valuation. The other is a TIF, tax increment financing. Historically, Piqua has not used TIF too often. TIFs are not districts that are pre-established. TIFs are something you establish as projects come about. In the case of the Scarborough Drive, we have IDC that's doing the project that is the impetus for us to be able to leverage their investment to capitalize on the TIF mechanisms, if that makes sense. Whereas if you had property on Patrizio Place or Cromus Drive, you have to have a willing property owner who's willing to sell it before it can be developed. If they're not willing to sell, then there's no project. And if there's no project, there's nothing to leverage in terms of new investment. So a TIF doesn't make sense. The fourth is special, I'll call them special tools like PACE financing, property assessed clean energy, things of that variety, which are somewhat project specific, but that one in particular relates to if you want to put solar panels on the roof of an industrial building, it has to be a project of a certain dollar amount before it's eligible for that kind of financing mechanism. And if it meets that criteria, then it could be something that works for that particular business, but it's not always, any one of those tools is not always the best solution. There could be other options that might make more sense. And it really just depends on the circumstances from one project to the next.
Okay, I was just curious. Thank you.
That's a good question.
Appreciate it. All right, that's it. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank
It's been
you.
nice working with everyone, too.
Why'd you say not a high note? Those are great questions.
Oh, well, thank you, but that was exciting, good news. It's nice to hear that somebody moved here from
It
Florida.
is,
like,
isn't it?
Because of the park
They
trail.
moved
That's
there
awesome.
and loves our park, our trail system, except for the trees that we cut down.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, sir.
I'll try to keep it on a high note if I can.
You are going to. I'm not worried about you.
I understand. Good evening, everybody. My name is Paul Reese, and I'm a candidate for Miami County Sheriff. I'll try to keep this somewhat short, so that way I don't get thrown out by my wife and all of you. Before I begin, I'd like to take just a second to congratulate you, Mr. Mayor, Mr.
Thank you,
Grissom.
sir. Known you a
Mr.
long
Grissom,
time.
Mr. Fote, on your new post. Thank you for your service. There's an old saying that success has many fathers and failure is an orphan. And I know that all of you collectively do the best jobs you possibly can with everything you have to work with. So thank you.
Thank you.
I know in October I sent most of you an introductory letter and a resume, and I'll certainly get that information out to those folks who are on a new post. So I'll get that out as soon as I can. I reside here in Piqua. I'm married to my wife Denise of 26 years. We have a combined family of 6 kids. And then there was 12 kids or 12 grandchildren after that. Please don't ask me to give you their names because I can't remember. No, I can't remember. I have nearly 35 years of law enforcement experience dating back to 1985, 26 years as a deputy sheriff, 16 in Miami County and 10 in Montgomery County. Concurrent to that, I have 23 years of military service presently. I serve as a special agent with the United States Army Criminal Investigative Division Command. I hold the rank of Chief Warrant Officer 3. Since 2007, I've served on protective service details of the top 7 leaders in the Department of Defense, to include the Secretary of Defense, the Deputy Secretary of Defense, the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the Vice Chairman, Chief of Staff of the Army, the Secretary of the Army, and then any of their foreign counterparts who visit the United States on their invitation, which means I got a lot of air miles. Also hold a Bachelor of Arts in Organizational Management and a Master of Arts in Business and Organizational Security Management. I've decided to run again because I care. I care about our community. I care about our county, and I care about the men and women who put their lives on the line every day for us. That's county-wide. I bring a fresh set of eyes to this agency, and I have the experience and the ability to lead. My primary focus will be the jails, narcotics, and the addiction, human trafficking, securing the courts, personnel issues, and leader development. In terms of the jails, Miami County law enforcement agencies are having a really tough time taking Miami County criminals off the Miami County streets and putting them in the Miami County jail. For more than 10 years, the jails have been in various states of being closed, condemned, and unfit for human habitation. I have a plan to address these issues at a much lower cost than the $20 to $22 million, which is currently on the table. We have to maintain facilities and use preventative checks and maintenance. The current policy of renting bed space to federal inmates in other counties does really nothing to keep our community safer, and at the minimum, needs to be prioritized. It's well known that we have a major drug problem all across the United States. A lot of people are dying. Heroin is possibly on a slight incline right now, but we also see the increase of methamphetamine and super meth. We're also seeing spikes of crack cocaine that's coming back because it's a cheaper form of getting high. However, heroin use and overdose is still a primary issue. Crack cocaine, as I said, is on the rise. I have a comprehensive approach and a plan to this problem, which takes into account the safety of our community, the trafficking of narcotics, incarceration, the addict, rehabilitation, and staying healthy. I'm going to make human trafficking a priority. I have a detailed and robust plan, and yes, it is a problem here. I want to make a few other comments about that. I don't want to rattle off too many numbers right now, but it's really kind of a sick thing that the United States has the highest numbers for the production and the consumption of child pornography, bar none. Just here in Ohio in the last year, 1,000 young children have been trafficked. That doesn't include the young women. It doesn't include the mothers who are addicted. It doesn't include the young boys. So the numbers are very massive. I think here in Miami County, when I say yes, it is a problem, if we can possibly agree right now that there's one child, one person that's been trafficked that's here in Miami County. I think we can agree that there's more.
Oh, you got about 30 seconds.
Okay.
Keep going.
Serving and securing the courts is statutory requirement of the sheriff. I'm glad the equipment has finally been put into place, but the courts are still not secured to a standard. Through effective leadership and taking care of our people, I'm going to stem the significant losses of personnel in the corrections and sworn side of the agency. I'm going to stop right there. I thank you for your time. God bless America.
Hey, good luck to you.
Okay.
Appreciate you stopping in and checking with us.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service, yes. And you have a very nice wife. She takes good care of you. I was afraid she was going to hit me. That's why I said that. Is there any other public comment? Now we'll go to our city manager's report.
No report tonight.
No report tonight. All right. Let's go to commissioner's report. We will start with Commissioner Foat.
Really don't have much to say. I look forward to serving with the city of Piqua, the citizens, and making sure that, one, I step out of my comfort zone. I've had conversations with Mr. Roman, and I appreciate those conversations we had. I'm open to conversations, so bring those to me. If I don't have the answers, which I probably won't, I will send you over to Mr. Huff, and he will get them answers.
Yes, he's good at that. All right.
Well, this has been a great night for me, and I appreciate that I'm going to be able to help the city of Piqua, and I look forward to serving the citizens. And I am available to you, and I hope to watch Piqua grow and develop and become even better than it is right now. Thank you.
She said, watch Piqua. That's funny.
Watch
Sorry.
Piqua grow.
No, I know.
And develop.
I just threw that out there.
I know.
Chris.
I wanted to thank everybody in my ward, but also the city of Piqua for the holiday seasons. We had some amazing decorations in our area. So I really want to, the one on Broadway's in my ward too, so we took my child down there. But everyone in the neighborhood, it's been pretty amazing. The downtown city of Piqua looked beautiful this year, so please thank the staff for me there. But I also wanted to thank Casey for her time of service and for everything that you did, helping me come on and as mayor, guiding me. So I really do appreciate it, and I look forward to continuing serving and for your continued service. Thank you, and welcome Cindy and Tom.
Thank you.
Happy to have you on board, and Chris, congratulations.
Thank you.
And for bringing me on as vice mayor is unexpected, but it's very much an honor. Thank you.
We'll keep you busy.
I know.
Casey.
Yeah, I want to just congratulate the light display, the Resident Pride winners. It is wonderful this time of year to drive around and just see the lights on our city. And so I thank all of our citizens that were able to help our holidays be a little more bright and cheerful. Just a couple of reminders about the Pittsburgh movie premiere. There will be an official press release, hopefully going out in the next couple days. It will be Thursday, January 23rd. And again, we're going to have a huge public reception that all the public can come to, and there'll be information if you're a veteran on how to get a ticket to that movie. But we are really excited. It will be at our movie theater, so even if you don't get there that night, you will be able to get there and see this very important movie about a very important hero of our community. A reminder that we have a couple ribbon cuttings coming up on Thursday through the Piqua Chamber of Commerce. Breaden Alley LCC, which is a certified public accountant on 111 West Ash Street. And then the Piquant, I think I'm pronouncing that right, Spa at 219 North Main Street. They will start at 10 o'clock at the Breaden Alley public accountants, and then we will move over to the Piquant Spa after that. Also, we have Bring Your Green Miami County Conference on the 15th from 8 a.m. to 9:30. This is something that the Piqua Area Chamber of Commerce, the Piqua City Schools, the county, Miami County, and also the city has been part of putting this conference together to help us be more of a green city and to do some things that will help us as businesses as well. So there's information out there on social media about the Bring Your Green Miami County Conference, and this one actually is geared towards our businesses, so just information about that. Congratulations to Mayor Lee and Vice Mayor Grissom. I'm excited about a new year. I'm excited to have Commissioner Fote and Commissioner Pearson here as well, and a lot of good things will happen this year, I am sure. So, thank you.
Thank you. I guess it's my turn, and I want to be thankful for the opportunity to be mayor. As a small kid growing up in the city of Piqua, my earliest memories, I was born and lived in Rossville. And when you talk about the Randolph slaves, they settled over in Rossville for a short time. And I can remember until the time I was 5 that we had an outhouse. And at the time when I turned 6, we moved to Boone Street. And I was talking to her. She said that everybody lived on Boone Street, and it seemed like it because it was my first experience in the neighborhood. But when I lived in Rossville and when I lived on Boone Street, I knew I was part of a community, and I knew I was home. Piqua has always been home to me. When I went to Edison and finished it and went to Wright State and lived in Dayton, those were I'm not saying that Dayton's a bad town, but it wasn't home. And when I moved back, I stayed home. And now I get an opportunity that my parents, in their wildest dreams, would never, ever believe that their little boy, and they're both passed at this point in time, could grow up to be the mayor of Piqua. So it's a big honor. To me, it's a big thing. I'm sitting here, my phone's been blowing up ever since, because somebody put this out there. My brothers that are alive, thank you. My brothers, my kids who are in Columbus are texting me and saying congratulations. It's a big thing, but it's a big thing to me because they're big shoes to fill. Casey did an incredible job as mayor, and I have no idea how I'm going to even come close. So I'm not going to try. I'm going to follow your example. I'm going to try to lead like you did, and I thank you for everything that you've done and everything you've done for the city. And we are in this together. The 2 new commissioners, these guys are going to help. You know, ask them questions. Go to them. And we together, we're here to service you. We're your mouthpiece. I mean, we're up here, and don't think we're above you. We're on the same level as you. We just represent you. And if you got an issue, come to us. We'll help you. And together we will work for the citizens of Piqua. And I am proud to say that I'm a Piquad, and I want to service and help the citizens of this town. Congratulations, Chris Grissom. Yeah, I know you're surprised that you were vice mayor. I didn't see that coming either, but that was great. And congratulations to the 2 new commissioners. One thing that was said tonight that I agree wholeheartedly is that we don't have to agree on everything, but we got to be agreeable. And Jay, when you said that, in essence, I'm like, yeah, we don't have to agree to everything. We just got to be agreeable that, we don't agree, and that's okay. And so, through the course of the year, there's statutory versus charter is going to be a thing, but I'm willing to listen. But doesn't mean that I'm going to disagree or dislike. So, and I'm just willing to listen, and I'm here for you. And with that said, if there's nothing else, I need a motion to dismiss.
I move that we dismiss.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved.